Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. As you might be reading there, the title of the program is Should We Get Rid of the 14th Amendment? Now, obviously, for you folks who follow politics, you're likely aware of what the 14th Amendment allegedly stands for, considering that President Trump seems to be in the news every single day. But many are suggesting that it would be wrong to use some amendment as part of the Constitution as an excuse to take Trump off the ballot. That it should be left up to the voters to decide who we get to vote for, not using some amendment to get rid of Trump. So I'm going to ask flat out, if we're going to put it back in the hands of the voters, should we simply get rid of the 14th Amendment? If you take someone off the ballot by using this amendment, many would suggest it would create so much division and chaos in the country that it's not smart to use it at all. So I have it. So what I want to ask you folks is, do you believe we should get rid of the 14th Amendment and let the people vote as normal? Now, as a sidebar to the discussion on the 14th Amendment, because this whole issue derives from January 6th, and January 6th derives from the 2020 election, I want to ask you folks for your opinion. And it's a simple question. Is there anything wrong with America's voting process? Do you believe the way we vote in this country is in itself flawed? What changes would you suggest to the voting process in this country? Because that is where all of this has come from. A suggestion that the way we vote leaves a ton of room for fraud. Folks used those avenues, committed fraud. Then they took the election from, some would say, the rightful winner, which is the other side. That side decided to protest. Those protests sparked off a riot. And now we're discussing whether the host of that protest violated the 14th Amendment. This is how this has all spiraled downhill. So, two questions. Should we get rid of the 14th Amendment entirely? And is there any problem, in your humble opinion, with the voting process in America? That's what we're going to be talking about today. You know how the program works. It is and always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. What do we say on every broadcast? We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their opinion or their commentary. If you disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. So understand that free speech will reign supreme here. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to hear what you have to say. Looking in the comment section, we started right off with Larkin says voter ID. Well, let me just say it this way. I don't have any issue with voter ID. I don't believe there is any legitimate excuse for a full-grown adult not to have an ID. You know when the election is coming, particularly the national election, but even the midterms, 2 years apart, national elections are 4 years apart. In most states, you can get an ID for less than $10. If you are so impoverished that you cannot get an ID, I think voting is probably the least of your worries. I totally agree that you should have an ID to vote. However, on the flip side of that, and I'll go right back to the box, I also support the state giving the IDs out. How much does it cost to take a piece of plastic, a person's photo, put some information on it, maybe a scan or a barcode, and give it to the voters? If you make these devices, which is nothing more than a piece of plastic with some ink on it, if you make them in bulk, probably cost you less than 10 cents. Probably would cost taxpayers. Taxpayers would probably pay less than 10 cents per ID. You want people to have voter ID? Hand them out. Hand them out for free. I do believe that's the way it should go. The liberals push against voter ID for some insane reason, and I strongly believe the Republicans would be against giving out voter IDs for free. Both sides have an agenda in this. Going to the box, we'll start it right out with Moo, the tuxedo cat, getting rid of the 14th Amendment. I'm asking because folks are saying not to take anybody off if they violate it. Should we get rid of the 14th Amendment? Moo, good afternoon. Happy New Year.
I mean, if they had a legitimate argument, I mean, you can debate it, you can vote on it. I mean, but you have to go through a process, right? You have to make a constitutional amendment to do something like that. You don't just get rid of it, right? That's not how you do it.
Right, but let me ask you, if
it a legal argument, that's fine. But
if it came up for a vote, would you support getting rid of the 14th Amendment?
No, why would I want an insurrectionist as president? That's ridiculous. Why would I want that?
Yeah, but what about
it prevents a damn insurrectionist from becoming president or holding office.
But what about the notion that, as opposed to using some type of constitutional amendment, leave it up to the voters? They're not going to vote for an insurrectionist.
We did. We left it up to the voters. We left it up to them. He fucking lost. You have a bunch of assholes who can't accept the fact that he lost. We left it up to the voters already. Yo, guys, Mega, your dude lost. Deal with it.
Now, in Big Papa, thank you for that snowman that started out right. Appreciate that, making a snowfall. Thank you. So when you say we had an insurrectionist, a lot of folks, I saw one person in the comments immediately state who is an insurrectionist. That came from DH. Explain your take that would suggest that President Trump, I'm assuming you're talking about, was an insurrectionist.
Yeah. Sure, Donald Trump had a bunch of his cronies like Roger Stone come up with a plot of fake electors, right? Then they went there on January 6th and held a rally and used that as a distraction to try and overthrow the government. It's very simple.
How can you prove, though, even the fake electors is a real thing, they pled guilty, but how can you prove that they were operating on behest of Trump? Is it possible that Republicans may have done something wrong, but Trump had nothing to do with it?
I mean, what kind of question is that? So Roger Stone is just doing this for himself, right? He's on tape making the plot, talking about how he's going to do this to reverse the election. He's doing that for himself, right? He wants to reverse, because he's running for president, right? I mean, that's not even a real question.
Well, no, let me interrupt to say, although I get your take that it's not a real question and it sounds ludicrous, make no mistake about it, whether Roger Stone operated on the order of Trump or not, he would have gained a lot from a second term of Trump. So even if Trump didn't tell him to do anything wrong, he could operate independently because he would gain so much.
I mean, so Donald Trump had no reason to hold that rally on the 6th, right? Other than to send those people up to the Capitol to fight like hell, trial by combat, right? And then they did what they had to do for him. So, this idea, you're arguing against a movement, a Nazi movement, that doesn't argue in good faith, that gaslights you constantly. They have no arguments. This whole thing is ridiculous.
Now, you use the term Nazi movement. I need some elaboration on it. What do you mean by a Nazi movement?
Sure. Yeah, MAGA is a Nazi movement, right? They feel that the blood of this country has been tainted by immigrants, right? They want to take away the control of women's bodies for themselves. They want to maintain the patriarchy, right? Those are all staples of a Nazi movement.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But in regards to your comment that they want to take away women's rights and their autonomy for their body, I want to say this. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. 600 plus of you in here. Please get your boy likes up to around 10,000. I would appreciate that. Taking the rights of women away. If that is true, and you're not the only one to suggest that a lot of women do, why the hell are there so many women that vote for Trump?
Well, why the hell were there Jewish people working with the Nazis? Why were there black people working to take down the Underground Railroad? You always have people working against their self-interest. It's just kind of how human nature works, right? You have these individuals who feel, well, man, if I side with these guys, I can be one of them, and they'll accept me, and all these things, right? And that's where they go.
So you believe that women that vote Republican are indeed voting against their own self-interest?
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, gay people who are Republican are voting against themselves. LGBTQ people who might be Republican are voting against. Black people who are Republican are voting against themselves.
Damn.
Of course. Yeah.
Then wait a minute. Then what group could vote Republican? You name gays, women, blacks, LGBT. Who could vote Republican that are not voting against their own self-interest?
White supremacist males should vote Republican because they are all about you guys. So white supremacists, Nazis, Klansmen, they should all be with the Republican Party and vote Republican.
Damn, that's horrible. Liz, why the hell so I get your point about women potentially voting against their own self-interest, but every group you named, there are a lot blacks,
Yeah.
25% of blacks are voting for Trump. Are they seeing something maybe you're not seeing?
Oh, sure. They saw him in a rap video back in the 90s or in a movie one day, and now they figured they should vote for the guy because they saw him on TV. Half of these MAGA fuckers were never even in politics before Trump came in. They didn't, and they don't give a shit about politics now, mind you. They like Trump because he's going to go after the people that they don't like, right? They don't care about politics. They don't even care about the election. They don't care if it was stolen. They just want him to have power. That's all they want, so that he can pursue the individuals that they don't like. That's all they want.
But you do realize, and you're free to speak on this, folks see the opposite. For instance, Big Papa, thank you once again. Absolutely, thank you. In the comments, John Michaels, listening to your spiel here, John Michaels says what you just stated is racist as fuck, but it's okay if you're a Democrat, suggesting that what you're saying is...
It's racist as fuck.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Okay. Yeah. Well, why is David Duke endorsing Donald Trump? Why does David? Do you even know who David Duke? He probably doesn't even know who. The fuck
everybody over 40 knows who David Duke is, even if they tell you they don't.
Yeah. Why is Donald Trump calling for the death of the Park Five when they were innocent? Why did Donald Trump get sued by New York for keeping black people out of his apartments? There's so many whys. And you people, you see, the thing is again, they're not arguing in good faith, bro. They don't care about anything I just said, right? That's all fine to them. But what I said is racist, man. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
All right, Moo. Always an earful, always a pleasure. You know I do have to move the program on. You hold your own like a strong kitchen table. You hold your own, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Happy New Year, man.
Absolutely. That doesn't sound happy, though. And that's what we're talking about. Because my last guest suggested that Trump's party is a party of Nazis. Yikes. What we're asking is, are we in a situation where we should get rid of the 14th Amendment? And I'm asking that from a simple standpoint that there are no shortage of, obviously, people on the right, but even a hell of a lot of Democrats are saying you should not use that to remove President Trump from the ballot. Now, you hear my last caller said, hell no. But a lot of folks are saying that if you use some sort of law to prevent people from voting for Trump, talking about you, Colorado, you, Maine, Michigan tried it, Arizona tried it. I believe a couple other states, Minnesota tried it as well. Oregon is on deck. Oregon is going to try it as well. So what I'm asking is, if it would be sort of dangerous, some would argue, to remove the president because of the 14th Amendment, then should we just get rid of it? In other words, even if a president did commit an act of insurrection, we can debate whether Trump is or is not one of those individuals, but let's say someone did. If you believe preventing people from voting for that person could lead us into chaos, then why have the amendment at all? So what I'm asking is, should we as Americans move to get rid of that amendment? And as a sidebar, a follow-up question I am asking, because the 14th Amendment only came about because of January 6th. January 6th only came about because Trump said the 2020 election was stolen. So I'm also asking, is our election process in this country flawed? And if so, and I wish I'd asked my last caller that, but if our election process is flawed, if you think so, how would you recommend fixing it? Looking in the comments, let's go Brandon FJB. You may end up hating you said that later on. What is the punishment for the insurrection at that point? Prison. Well, one of the punishments is obviously you cannot run for any office in America again, where you have to take an oath. I think that might even go all the way down to being a cop or being a judge. Anywhere where you got to raise your right hand, I think it could remove you from any of those gigs. Serving in the military, you name it. Should we get rid of it though? Should we get rid of it? Looking in the comments, he still has a right to die. I don't quite get the rest of that. You love Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my God. And by the way, that probably will be a future show because the list hasn't came out yet, but I want to know from you folks in the future, what does it say about people whose name is on that list? Looking in the comments, it's only dangerous because it targets Trump and he's popular. I think this only applies to a few candidates in our lifetime can strike a core fan base like him. That was on YouTube. We run a simulcast on YouTube, so the program's on both platforms. But I do agree that the fan base for Trump is unlike anything we've ever seen in our life. I don't think the fan base for Obama was anywhere near as strong as the fan base for Trump. You could say negative things about Obama, even as a black person, even as a minority, without getting heavily attacked by a bunch of other minorities who supported Obama. If you say something negative about Trump to other supporters of Trump, chances are you're going to face some ridicule. You're not going to just get away with that. But we'll go straight to the box. We'll go straight to William. Appreciate you folks tapping the screen. You know how it works. Get your boy likes up to about 25,000. Nearly 1,000 of you in here. You can tap the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. William, 14th Amendment. What say you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Good afternoon.
Well, I don't think we should tamper with the Constitution anymore. I say as little as possible. I don't think we should do away with the 14th Amendment. No.
So if folks do believe Trump violated the 14th Amendment, then they should remove him from the ballot.
I mean, my feelings on that are if he did, in fact, indeed violate the 14th Amendment, and they can prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt whatsoever, that he's responsible, then he broke the law, then he's not above the law any more so than I am or you am.
Okay. So in other words, if they can prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, I assume we're talking about in a court of law, then remove him, and it is not about letting the voters decide or letting the voters vote for the guy. If he violated the law, you saying the law should remove him.
Right. I'm saying that it should follow the letter of the law, just like if they caught me New Year's Eve out DUI and I knowingly broke the law and I was locked up and had my license suspended. I knew what the consequences were going to be before it happened. And you know, for me to want preferential treatment, say, yeah, but I was, you know, whatever excuse I might come up with.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, I broke the law, and I should have to stand accountable.
I think that's quite reasonable. So I'll ask you. I haven't asked you your political affiliation, but how do you feel? Do you feel that Trump violated the 14th Amendment? Do you think he came close, or you think it's just ludicrous to even suggest it?
Honestly, I mean, I have been trying to follow that, Tim, as close as I possibly can, but I don't know on that. I mean, it's kind of like I said. I feel like individuals are accountable for their actions. People that went into D.C. and went in and broke in and did all these things. I kind of feel like the people that actually did it, they're accountable. I mean, it's just like if you and I went out and we got into some type of activity that was illegal. I just said, "Oh, but I was with him, and he you know, he made me do it. He coerced me into doing it." I don't buy things like that so much as so as just personal accountability. So I just feel like the people that actually broke the law and did the things that they did, and you know, broke in through the windows and the other things that we know about.
Why do you think they did that, though?
Well, I mean, there's just obviously a lot of very much unrest in this country, as we all know. I mean, there's just a lot of divisiveness going on. I mean, nobody that was on the right wanted to see Biden win, and nobody that was on the left.
So are you saying that they did what they did simply because they was mad Biden won?
I'm saying that's a possibility. I mean, I have no way of honestly sitting here and just talking with you on the phone and knowing
Right.
who all was accountable and everything. But I do still feel that regardless of, I mean, that's why I say I don't at this point hold Donald Trump accountable for what these people did. The people that actually did it, I hold them accountable. Now, whether he orchestrates,
But I'll let you continue. I just want to interrupt you for a moment because we know a lot of the folks had up signs that stated "Stop the Steal." Do you think the election was stolen?
that I can't say. I mean, I know there was about roughly, if I remember correctly, about 7 million votes. And difference, if there's a larger amount in that in electoral votes when you looked at it in that way, in that count. I feel like that particular, well, not only that one, but most elections just stay in time. If it's even marginally close, everybody's going to scream foul and holler that it was stolen or there was.
But according to Trump, it wasn't close. Trump states he won by a landslide. Do you see? It's been 3 years now, or 2021. It's actually been 2 years.
Right now, with all the information that I have before me now, I mean, and I can only go by the information I have for me now. He lost the election. I mean, it's he may not want to accept that. Most people don't. Just like a lot of people don't like the fact that Florida State didn't go to the Final Four.
Now, do you support Trump at all?
Well, honestly, as you know this, Tim, and I know this. I mean, at this point, it's no longer about voting for the man; it's voting for the party. Everything is so biased. I mean, when I go into the ballot box, I'll be honest with you. I mean, and I think voting is a very personal thing, and a lot of times I tell people it's none of your business how I vote. But honestly, I vote red all the way down. Even if I'm voting for things like maybe a state road superintendent, and I don't even really know either one of the candidates, but I just vote red straight down the ballot.
So you support the party. You don't necessarily support Trump, but you support the Republican Party.
Correct. I support the party because for me, the Republican ideology represents my political beliefs more so than the Democratic Party.
Right, and that's fair. That's a fair. So what I'm trying to figure out this. So you basically admit, not basically, you came on flat out said Trump lost the election in your analysis, even if he don't want to admit it. How do you feel?
At this point, I mean, the count has been made. I can't prove that there's. I certainly don't have any way of proving that there was any underhanded dealings going on. There's a lot of allegations, but it has to be proven before I say, okay, he's right. So
how do you feel as someone who supports the Republican Party? How do you feel knowing that your top candidate is still telling people he won an election that you are admitting you should have proof that you did that, and you feel confident he hasn't given you any proof yet?
I think he should let that go, and he should concentrate on trying to get past these indictments and trying to get on the ballot and run for 2024 and forget about 2020. I mean, there's no need to keep, as the old saying goes, to beat a dead horse. I mean, it's just let it go. I mean, it's over and done. And
well, what if he loses again, though? If you got the people already thinking the Democrats cheat, if you lose a second time, you can still use that because you're still running it in the background that I'm going to win, but they're not going to let me.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's why I say everything is so divided and so bipartisan. It's like both sides, as you know, are guilty of that. It's just like, I mean, even to address another issue, you mentioned something to the effect that you would never hear someone in a minority being chastised for what was you? What
We got a lot of folks even right now all over TikTok that are African American and suggest Obama didn't do anything for black people. Look at the comments. Nobody's calling them an idiot or talking about how fat they are. You don't see that. Now, some people may say, yes, he did, or some people may say, well, you'd be crazy to vote for Trump instead or something like that, but they're not personally attacking the guy. If you are the likes of any of the Trump critics, you're going to get hammered no matter how peacefully you do it.
This is something I have seen, though, Tim. I have seen in a lot of the TikTok lives and other social media where people from minorities come in and they say that they're voting for Trump.
Yeah, that will happen. Yeah, that happens.
I have seen people in their own communities jump down their throat,
Yeah.
and I mean, just basically just throw them under the bus.
I agree with that. But that's not what I was saying. Though. I do agree. If you are an African American and you are supporting Trump, particularly if you're a celebrity African American, and Steve Harvey's, folks like that, and you or Ice Cube, and you start supporting Trump, you're going to lose your establishment. The only blacks that support Trump and benefit from it are folks who supported Trump as a way of coming up, like the Candace Owens and those types. They have always been making money on conservative issues. But if you made your money elsewhere that was not politically related, where you got a large black client base, and you start supporting Trump, your career is going to be in jeopardy. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I've heard that firsthand. I mean, not only just on social media, but even firsthand, just in some friends in the gym and talking politics and somebody. Yes, up from the black.
But you do understand some of that, right? If you put 1,000 blacks, you do a town hall with 1,000 blacks, and you put them all in a room and you ask them what issues concern them most, you do realize someone like Trump is going to be on the other side of most of those issues.
Well, I know that traditionally the Democratic Party puts more emphasis on things like broadening welfare and other things that maybe the black community feels like they benefit more from the Democratic Party in that respect. I don't know so much that, honestly, Donald Trump's policies would hurt someone from the black community. I mean, it promotes capitalism and other things. It tries to steer away from
it's not policies. I mean,
like universal health care, for instance. Everybody thinks, a lot of people now in the Democratic Party seems to think universal health care is a good thing. But honestly, if you think about it, if you know anybody that's a veteran, the VA is a prime example of universal health care. And look how bad that's failed our veterans. It's terrible.
You think that universal health care is worse to somebody who doesn't have any at all?
Well, I think if we don't have any choice other than universal health care, I personally feel like from everything that I've read and everything that I've researched, that our quality of medical care will go down. We'll be standing in line. I mean, you don't really even get to choose the doctor you may choose to see. I'm not a big fan of universal health care.
I gotta move it on, but I will tell you this: around the world, most first world countries have universal health care, and they do have a lot of citizens that voice the same complaints as you. But you notice one thing: even though all those countries have elections and they can vote, none of them are voting to get rid of universal health care. Canada, you hear folks all the time, Canada, it sucks, whatever, but they're not voting to get rid of it. They have the ability to do that. And none of these countries, UK, Italy, you name it, none of them are voting to get rid of universal health care. Even if they get a left-wing politician or even a right-wing politician, none of them vote to get rid of it. What does that say to you?
A lot of people are under the assumption that it's free, and we all know that there's nothing, whether it's universal health care, public school systems, the list could go on and on and on. Those things are paid for by people like me and you that go to work every day and we pay our taxes, and it's taken from taxpayers' money, and that's how those things are subsidized through taxpayers' money. So it's not free, although some people are in that.
Well, William, you do know dialing 911 is not free either. You want to charge for that? I
If you
mean,
would give me a tax break on my property taxes, I would be all for it.
well, see, this is where you and I disagree. I do agree America's a capitalist country, but at some point, the love of money can go too far. We're talking about sick people here. We're talking about the health of your brothers and sisters, and you're saying, well, I don't want to be taxed too much for it. These are people's lives, man.
Well, Tim, there's always exceptions that you can come up with.
Okay.
Like making a 911 call or whatever, I certainly don't, to be honest, don't think anyone should be charged for a 911 call. Just like we always get into the debate about abortions. I feel like there are certain circumstances where an abortion is the answer. So there's always exceptions to the rules, but still, I really don't know anybody in their right mind that wants to be taxed any more than we're already being taxed.
Well, I'm fine with that, but maybe if we didn't build prisons and throw drug users in jail, we could actually do some of this stuff. Fact is, we spend tax money on things that are inappropriate. I'm fine with your comment there, but I don't believe in letting people who have no health care at all just kind of roam around because we don't want to be taxed anymore. I think some things are worth being taxed for. And universal health care, like I said, around the world, everybody is fine with that. They want that. They want it better. But other than America, you don't seem to have a lot of countries suggesting we need to go back to the point where poor people, if they can't afford health care, that's just on them. I think that's a bit harsh.
What I'd like to see is like maybe modify things, and instead of leaving everything, so many times it seems up to people that are working, people that are paying property taxes, other things, capital gain taxes, things of that nature, and having to pay so much on taxes to support all these programs. I'd like to see us just across the board raise the sales tax so that everyone's contributing a little bit, rather than say a certain percentage of the population contributing a lot in taxes and taxation.
Right.
Just raise the sales tax.
Fair enough. I appreciate you coming. I do got to move it on, and I will end by saying if we were okay with raising wages, maybe everybody could do that. But we're trying to make everybody contribute while also trying our best to not make sure everybody makes a decent income. William, I appreciate you coming through. As always, anytime.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolute. Looking in the comments, it's called a consumption tax. Yeah, some countries have it, some don't. When I lived in Australia, I don't think they didn't have a tax. Like if you purchase something at the store, whatever it said on the price tag, that's what you paid. The tax or whatever was already in it. You didn't get to the register and all of a sudden you get another 8-9% added on. That they didn't have that. You knew what you were going to pay based on what was printed there. Looking in the comments, Betty has no problem paying politicians in retirement for them. I can't speak for my last caller, but that is what I was trying to relate, is that I'm fine with this suggestion that some of our tax money is misused. Some would argue for the Ukraine, for instance. However, I think there are some basics like 911 where it shouldn't be negotiable. And I do believe the healthcare of the nation should be considered as one of those staples right up there with 911 or making sure there's public schools. I think an educated community is having a community where education is optional. I think that's a detriment to the community. That's why you have to, as a parent, your child has to go to school, or you have to show where they're being homeschooled. You just can't bring up idiots. Some would say we might be doing that anyway, but that's not good for the future generation. Same thing for trying to ensure that the population is healthy. That's not good for future generations either. So I do believe some things should be considered priorities, and making sure everybody has health care, in my opinion, is that. All right, going back to the box. Big Papa, appreciate you folks that are holding on. I'll keep it moving. 14th Amendment, talking about the potential of taking that off the Constitution. Would you support getting rid of the 14th Amendment?
Yes, sir.
Explain. William, thank you, by the way, my last caller. Appreciate that. That was fucking beautiful. Why would you be in favor of getting...
Sorry, I didn't mean that. No, absolutely not. First of all, none of the amendments should be removed. Absolutely not. You know what? I believe that the amendments were put into place to protect the people of this country, not the politicians.
Yes. So
The reality.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if Trump violated the 14th Amendment, I'm not saying he did or didn't. We can discuss that. But if he did, do you believe he should be removed by the law, or should it be left up to the voters?
I believe he should be removed by the law because one, that's why these are put into place. That's why the system is put into place. Do I believe that the system should be blind? Absolutely. I don't think it should be partisan. I believe that if he's guilty of doing what he is and is convicted of it, then by all means, no politician should be put on a pedestal. And I don't care who it is. I don't care how they speak, what they tell you, if they appeal to you. The reality is there are consequences for our actions, just as the last individual said. And Trump is no better or no worse. The reality is, though, is our system is so broken, and people literally are so absorbed into their politics, they fail to look at their own party's faults, and that's a huge issue in this country.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked my last caller. Do you see any possibility where Trump potentially violated the 14th Amendment, maybe came close, or is it ludicrous to even bring it up?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's a valid question, and again, this is if he's being accused of something, then without a shadow of a doubt, they need to be able to convict him of it. Again, none of us actually know the truth. We are only told what the sources of information are telling us. You know, whether it's coming from the left media, the right media. You know, I used to be a hardcore Republican, and I no longer support Republicans or Democrats because both sides are just self-motivated, and they really don't care about the American people. Because if you really think about it, throughout the years, many politicians, they run on all of these ideologies and the promises that they make. But if you think about it, throughout history, we continue to have the same problem. Taxes get raised, the poor stay poor, the rich get rich. Do we ever really solve any of these problems? And neither side will it ever admit fault. And
well, I gotta push back in regards to rich getting richer, poor getting poorer. Do we ever solve some of these problems? I disagree with you for this simple fact: being poor in 2023 is a hell of a lot better than being poor in 1923. We have solved some of this.
Yes, but you know, it's still, people are still continuing to struggle. Now, I absolutely agree that we have to pay taxes on certain. Absolutely, 911 calls. Those are public services that it is important that those things are paid for. But the problem is the allocation of funds by our government and where our money is being sent is an atrocity. I mean, how is it that Congress can write a 2,000, 3,000, 11,000 page bill? No one reads it. It gets passed, and it's trillions.
Yeah, I don't. You're not going to get any pushback from me. I do admit there's corporation, there's cloak and dagger stuff going on in Washington. I think everybody agrees with that. But in regards to what we're talking about with the 14th Amendment, based on your analysis, you don't, because you said you used to support Republicans. You're kind of in the middle now. You've gotten away from both parties. You don't see right now, without any conviction in court, you don't see where Trump has violated the 14th Amendment right now, do you?
I personally don't. I don't necessarily think that he caused an insurrection because, in all honesty, it really wasn't an insurrection.
What do you think they were trying to do there that day? What do you think the purpose of Jay?
I mean, it's here's the thing. It's the same thing as BLM and Antifa. When you get to a point where you're frustrated, because in all honesty, and I don't respect any of them, they all committed crimes. And if these are the things that you're doing, and just like the last individual said, if you went there and you decided you wanted to push back, you were going to push into the Capitol, you committed a crime. That's just the way it is. I can't help it. I don't care what your reasoning is. So
you do believe crimes were committed on January 6th?
absolutely.
How do you
If
feel?
I'm mad at my neighbor,
Then how do you feel about
if I'm mad at my neighbor, right?
Yeah.
I go into his house and beat him up because he said something or did something, regardless of whether he was right, wrong, or indifferent. I still committed a crime by doing that and knowingly doing it.
So what if you let's take your scenario where you criminally went into your neighbor's house and did whatever the hell you did and you got arrested? How would it look if the mayor pardoned you?
Well, yeah, and me personally, I think that's just like when they say, you know, it's what's the word that I'm looking for?
Witch hunt?
No. Like if you're you know, if you're friends with like a judge and you get off because you know the judge, you know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a form of bias, and again, that's wrong. Do people do it? Yes, this has been going on in politics for God knows how long. You know, it's.
But wait a minute. Let me make sure I get this clear. Now, the leader of the Proud Boys and the leader of the Oath Keepers, both serving football numbers, double-digit prison sentences, they have been actually tried and convicted of sedition. They've been convicted of an insurrection. Trump is talking about pardoning them for that conviction. How do you see that?
Well, that's a problem because again, and I really didn't follow the case, but if they were convicted without bias by the courts, then that's where they should remain. I don't think anyone.
Is it possible? I mean, well, but wait a minute. Is it possible for anybody to tell if they were convicted with bias or not? You know, Trump is going to suggest any judge that doesn't rule the way he wants is biased.
Yeah, and you know what? And the reality is that we will never know. And then, unfortunately, in the state of where our country is, there's going to be people that say there's bias, and there's going to be people that say they weren't. Do I think that they should be acquitted or set free? No, absolutely not, because we know the mentality that they had, and they knew exactly what they were going there to do.
So,
If
here's a complicated question I want to run by you, because we talked about Trump is not the one that committed insurrection at all, but we do realize that these Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and others have been convicted of it. In the 14th Amendment, in the verbiage itself, it talks about it talks about what it would take for a person to be guilty of violating the 14th Amendment. In there it says, if you aid or comfort an enemy of the United States, you also qualify. Do you see where Trump offering to pardon others that have been convicted of insurrection as aiding or comforting them?
That's definitely, I don't know if it's aiding, but it's definitely comforting. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so you know what, the logistics and the legality of that, I leave that to the lawyers to decide, and that's why there needs to be a fair trial. And again, you know, it's I can't speak on that behalf. I know what I see. I know what I hear. You know, there's an old adage, believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear.
Right.
The problem is that, you know, we don't know how truthful the major majority of the information.
Well, wait a minute. We do know, we don't have the entire puzzle. I agree with you on that. We do know what they were convicted of. We do know Trump is trying to suggest he would pardon them, and we do know the 14th Amendment states if you aid or comfort that someone that's the enemy of the United States, you're violating the law. That stuff is not debatable. They were convicted. Trump has routinely stated he would pardon them. Also, he's done a song with them and spoken positively of them at a number of rallies. And we know in the 14th Amendment it talks about aiding and comforting. I don't think any of that's up for debate. You stated yourself that offering to pardon them is at the very least comforting them. You don't see a violation here?
In my personal opinion, I believe that that's a form of comforting them. But again, I'm not the lawyer. I'm not the judge. That's, again, you know, that's like me trying to tell a lawyer how to do their job. That is for them in the courts to decide, and that is ultimately whether it's a jury or whether it's a judge to make that determination as to.
I don't disagree with that. I do got to move it on. I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying that considering the verbiage says aiding or comforting is a violation, and you've admitted in your opinion it's at least comforting them, your opinion states that if you were on a jury, you would think the guy is guilty of an insurrection. Because that's what the judge would tell you. It says aid or comfort. It's up to you to decide, is he aiding or comforting them? You've already came back and said it's at least comforting.
Sure, I agree.
Right.
And you know what? And that's where if the jury comes back or the judge come back and declares that he was a part or in some way encouraged or aided and comforted these individuals, and he's found guilty of insurrection, then he should be removed.
All right.
Plain and simple.
And it sounds like if you were on a jury, you would be a vote for guilty, because you already said comfort. So we don't know what the other 11 members or whatever their jury consisted of, but if you were on that jury, you would vote guilty.
Yes, and the reality for me is that I'm no longer, see, that's the problem. Everybody wants to pick and choose the side, but I'm more for the American people and what's best for us and what's going to move our country forward. This, to me, this isn't a popularity contest. This is our lives that these people are playing with, and we're the ones suffering. And this needs to stop. The two-party system really needs to stop. The fact that, you know what, the only people that can run are people that have extremely wealthy friends or the wealthy, because I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that would make an amazing president, but guess what? They don't have they're not a part of a network where people...
I'm with you on that, but right now that's wishful thinking. I do got to move it on, but I am with you in regards to taking money out of politics and letting anybody run, but unless you're going to be for all sorts of laws, that's going to be wishful thinking right now. Big Papa?
Something's got to change, though. You know, that's all. Something's got to change, and, you know, we, the American people, have got to stop suffering for the failures of the politicians that are elected into office. You know, they need to be held accountable for their actions and the things that they do. And until they're held accountable, nothing in this country will change.
That's a spot on comment. Appreciate you coming through. Happy New Year's to you. By the way, thank you. Appreciate the support.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Anytime. My door is always open to you. All right, looking in the, and I see you on YouTube. You guys are hard to my guess. Cheeky Chops. Back to box, next bitch. Don't call my guest names, folks. Come on now. I'm the one that's a glutton for punishment. Be kind to the guests. They don't have the money, the network, and have you seen what they do to people that run for office in races? Yeah, they sling all kind of money. Yeah, running for office is a dirty job. I've said it numerous times on the program. If you run for office, every skeleton in your closet is going to come out. If you have no skeletons in your closet, expect them to hire an archaeologist to put a few bones in there for you. Now, a lot of us on the left have said Michelle Obama would probably be a victorious candidate. She don't have a lot of skeletons in her closet. I can assure you, if Michelle Obama ran for president, all sorts of negative shit would come out. They've already suggested she's the wrong gender. All sorts of there's no such thing as a human that doesn't have skeletons in their closet. They'll go back and find your first grade teacher. Hell, when Obama was president, they actually went to Kenya and found his other relatives to talk to. It is that much money in politics to dirty you up. Remember, Trump was the one they went after from day one, as if Obama did not exist. Looking in the comment section, what does that say? She got some neck bones in her closet. Neck bones are good. Don't hate on the neck bones. I grew up on neck bones. Smoked neck bones are even better. Looking in the comments real quick, I do appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Get your boy up to 50,000. We got over 1,000 people here. I do appreciate that. A few of you on YouTube as well. Thank you. Most states never agree with the 14th Amendment. Damn right. Damn right, most states never agreed with the 14th Amendment because it was aimed at Confederates. The whole creation of the 14th Amendment was to make sure no one who served in the Confederate Army, which fought to break up the damn country, the Confederates tried to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. No, you don't get to have political office anymore. So when you say that everybody didn't agree with the 14th Amendment, I guarantee the Confederate States are the overwhelming majority of that because it was preventing them from ever holding office again. Why would they agree with it? So yeah, I agree with that. Looking in the comments. Exactly. They went to Kenya to dig up dirt on Obama. Yeah, they did. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. We'll keep the program moving with Mr. or better yet, did I say Miss? I don't want to get the pronoun wrong. Bojangles. We'll just say that. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Colorado and Maine rulings are like letting ex-Confederate states decide who can run. That's the whole purpose of the program, is asking, should we get rid of the 14th Amendment at all? Because Colorado, now Maine's a little bit more controversial because Maine, apparently it was done by one individual or something like that. Colorado took it throughout the legal process. Colorado actually did their due diligence and came up to the opinion that he violated the 14th Amendment. So what are they supposed to do? Are we to the point where even if you think in a court of law that somebody violated the 14th Amendment, you shouldn't enforce it? That's what I'm asking. Should we just get rid of the 14th Amendment altogether? I tried to bring up a guest. We'll give it a second, otherwise we'll keep moving. I'm waiting. Hello? Did somebody come in? Okay, I don't know. I'm waiting to see how Gorsuch is going to vote. Yeah, I don't think the 14th Amendment rulings will stand with a supermajority on the Supreme Court. I don't. However, as you just seen with my previous caller, who was adamant that Trump didn't violate the 14th Amendment, but then during our discussion admitted he did violate the aid and comfort provision. I do believe that there are some folks who don't give a shit if Trump violated the 14th Amendment or not. They're not going to vote to kick him out of office for that. But I do believe if you look at it from a reasonable standpoint, the aid or comfort part starts to be glaring. I mean, these folks were convicted of sedition. Now, the follow-up is, well, then their convictions are bullshit. You know, as my last caller was starting to allude to, well, their convictions were biased. Then I don't know how we could ever have a court system if every single convicted individual says, well, my conviction was based on bias. I mean, how many black folks have been able to prove that they likely would never have been arrested at all, never have been arrested at all if they weren't black? I'm assuming the Innocence Project could give you a huge number. But we don't want to get to the point where we're undermining our courts because everybody who gets convicted says, well, the judge was biased. You know, this judge was a liberal. This judge was a racist. You never get anything accomplished. And I would submit to you before going back to the box again, that is kind of what Trump is doing. Every judge that rules against him is biased. I don't know how you get around that. Even when the Supreme Court refused to hear Trump's claim that the election was stolen, he started calling them cowards and things like that. I don't know how you can do it. And he also is known for saying that a judge cannot adjudicate his case because he was a Mexican. How do you go to court if you think all of the judges should be in the same party as you? They should all be American, or they should all be white or black. I mean, we would never have a court system if everybody demanded those parameters. I should never be adjudicated unless it's a black person. That would never work if I tried to do that. That would never work. Looking in the box, or not an American, but I don't, because none of us are American. I don't know what the hell, but Trump said the guy was of Mexican descent, and therefore he could not adjudicate his case. In other words, any Hispanic, anybody of Mexican descent is automatically going to be biased towards Trump, and he can't get a fair trial. I mean, not only is that an awful thing to say, but it does leave an obvious question. Why do you think so many Mexicans hate you to the point where none of them would ever rule against you properly? What are you doing that would make all of them not like you like that? Let's try to go back to the box. I don't know what happened with my last caller, but I do appreciate you folks that are holding, and I ask that you tap the screen. Southern Crusader. I love the name. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program and Happy New Year's. If it allows me to bring this person, I have a problem with the box. I don't think it's accurate. We all know Trump is not racist. I don't think people know if he's racist or not. If you name the person, somebody's called them a racist. People were saying it about Biden. They said it about Obama. They said it about Bush. They said it about Reagan. Every president gets called that. So I don't know. Southern Crusader, good afternoon.
What's up?
Not much at all. Hopefully we can make this work. Look like it's showing you got a couple bars down there. We're talking about the 14th Amendment. Should we do away with that?
Hey, you able to hear me?
I can hear you, but apparently we got some type of a signal. Okay, well, I don't know what the hell. 45 is racist. He said he don't want blacks to count his money. You got any evidence of that? Now, in the comments, Mara is saying that Trump is a racist because he stated he don't want black people to count his money. I've never even heard of that claim. Wow. I mean, that would obviously be a statement of intolerance, but I've never heard that he said that before. Now, one of the issues, and I'm trying to go to the box, and I want to state this before I do. One of the issues is that the folks who do defend Trump as being a inclusive individual, he's not racist and things like that, that's debatable. But the folks who don't believe Trump is racist are quick to discount claims that he is. I believe you should listen to both. Now, Michael Cohen is, for instance, Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer of 20 years. He said that Trump has said all kinds of racist things. Do we just automatically discount everything that Michael Cohen has to say about Trump? And that's where the problem is that folks who actually have been around Trump for a number of years, if they say anything negative about Trump, they're instantly deemed to be lying. So it is difficult to get a read on what type of person Trump is if you only accept positive attributes about the man. If somebody says he was a criminal or he was lying, I don't believe that person. You're a sellout. You're in it for a book deal or something. I mean, so you're never going to get a proper read if you're not open-minded in what you're willing to accept. Somebody get up there and say, well, I'm black. Trump helped me buy a house. I was hurting for finances. He gave me a bunch of money. You instantly believe that. But if somebody else says, well, I wanted to rent a place in his apartment, and he wouldn't let me live there because I'm black. Well, that guy's lying. It's hard to come to a conclusion when you have a mindset where only positive information can get through. I'm just saying have an open mind. And that's on Biden or anyone else. Looking in the box again, I'm having a hard time bringing people up. I do apologize. I'm not trying to ramble on, but I can't bring guests up. Let's see what happens here. I just brought up another guest, PT, I think it says here. And once again, what's happening is the TikTok icon is just spinning, but the guests aren't coming in. And it says, why are we so busy talking about Trump's maybe crimes when our current president did open crimes? Because he's not being charged in regards to President Biden. He's not being charged with a crime. Keep in mind, almost all of the crimes that Biden allegedly committed were done before Trump even became president. Why not go after the guy? If Biden is such a criminal, why didn't the Trump administration go? These things that they're accusing Biden of, they didn't happen after January 2021 when Biden was inaugurated as president. This stuff was before that. If he was a criminal, why didn't Trump use his DOJ? Maybe have the FBI go after Biden. You want Biden to prosecute himself? Is that what we're asking? The box is crazy here. United States was based on a Democrat. How? The United States was not based on, I don't get that. The United States was based on the people. I don't quite get that. Fake impeachment, says Steve. Well, they didn't go anywhere, so we'll leave it at that. They are going after him currently. Yeah, but it's not going to go anywhere while he's president. Perfect counterexample. They're currently going after Trump. If Trump becomes president, you think those cases are going to go anywhere? If Trump loses, Do you think you're going to see a difference of how the outcome of those cases are? So you're not going to get any type of conviction on Biden while he's serving in office. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't get one on Trump, period. If the Democrats had controlled the Senate, those quote unquote fake impeachments would have grew legs. But because the Republicans controlled the Senate, the impeachment didn't mean anything. So that's how it works. Biden is not going to be convicted of crimes while the guy is sitting in the White House. And it doesn't help that folks are saying that Biden is this huge mastermind of crimes while saying he has dementia. You can't do both. You can't string together a sentence, but you can orchestrate a whole war in the Ukraine? Something is not making sense. I'm just going to say that. If I was Biden or his advisors, I would listen, they're giving you an insanity plea. If something happens, we'll just put Trump on TV saying you're insane. The whole right side of the aisle is already giving you the mental health defense. Just use that. Just use it. I want to go back to the box once again. I don't know what the hell is going on with the box. I do appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen and maintaining. I'm trying to bring up guests, but the box is really problematic. We'll try it one more time here. Red G. The war in Ukraine is because, I don't know what that said. The Red G, good afternoon.
Yo,
Hey.
First, I just wanted to tell you that they have to turn their camera on first. TikTok's been doing this thing for like a week, where if you don't turn the camera on, it disconnects you.
I've talked to guests already though that didn't have their camera on. That's weird.
Yeah, so if you turn the camera on, then it doesn't turn. You just turn it on quick and then turn it off like I just did.
Never heard it, but okay, thanks for the advice. So what do you think about the 14th Amendment? Should we get rid of it?
Well, we should have never had it. The 14th Amendment is just a violation of contract law. It's a violation of trust law. It's a violation of the Constitution.
Do you know why it was put in place?
Yes, but I don't want to talk about it. I'll probably get banned if I go into
Fair enough. So let me ask you this question. If after we defeated the Confederates who tried to secede from the Union, tried to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln, and wanted to break this country up, do you think other Confederates should have been able to run for the nation's highest office after just doing that?
Well, so to claim that they're the ones who were moving away because what we had then was the Articles of Confederation. To claim that
they wanted to break America up and have their own country.
Well, they wanted to go by the original set of rules.
What do you mean by the original set of rules?
Nobody had the authority to get rid of the Articles of Confederation.
I don't quite get your point. When you say the Articles of there was no Confederate. What are you talking about? The 13 states?
Yes, I'm talking about all of the states.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're confusing me on this. What were they? They're trying to break up from the
Paris, which allowed us to become a country. That those were the rules that were set forth, and to change them, nobody had the authority to do it.
So what? I'm going to ask you the same question that was asked to a.
So look, let me finish. The Constitution replaced the Articles, but who has the authority to remove the Constitution or the Articles? Nobody.
The people put in the politicians that can make changes to the Constitution.
Can you remove the Constitution? Can you put somebody in that removes the Constitution?
If you vote in if you had a 60 seat majority on the Senate and you got an overwhelming majority on Congress, they can do damn near anything, man.
That not lawfully they cannot.
They can change. That's the point. Hold on, wait a minute. That's the point. If you got an overwhelming majority on both the Senate and Congress, and you control the presidency, you can change the law that allows you to do that.
You can't change the Constitution. You cannot get rid of a Constitution and replace it with anything based on there's nothing out there that says you can do that.
You ever heard of an amendment?
Right, but an amendment would be a change to the thing that you already have, not getting rid of it.
So yeah, so you can actually amend the Constitution to say you can make these type of changes.
The articles they replaced it, which is not lawful.
So, in your opinion, I'm gonna ask you a question that was asked to another presidential candidate. What do you think the Civil War was over?
It was over resources and relationships.
They went to war over a relationship.
Yes.
What kind of relationship?
So they wanted to be able to move without hindrance in accordance with the Treaty of Paris.
Where are you getting it?
The Treaty of Paris. I literally just said that. The Treaty of Paris, which allows you to be a country, which says Great Britain and France aren't going to continue attacking the United States and Mexico.
We went to war, a civil war in this country, because of the Treaty of France.
We went to a civil war due to the resources and relationships. So the South would overpower the North financially if they were allowed to continue with slavery.
Okay. We're getting somewhere now.
So if you have to pay your workers, right, and I don't have to pay my workers, we're not going to have an even split, are we?
No.
And it's only going to be a matter of time until I take over what you have, because you're losing wages paying people while I'm just beating the shit out of them.
Okay, that part we agree with. Now, so at the end of the day, you believe those who fought on the Confederate side to maintain slavery, or as you say, beat the shit out of people, you believe those folks should still have been able to run for president because you don't support the 14th Amendment.
It's not about my belief. It's about the law.
But give me your belief. Give me your belief. The law can be wrong sometimes. The law allows slavery, so the laws can be wrong.
Yeah, I agree. The law was very wrong. It was fucked up. But for us to sit here and then tell somebody, hey, now you can't vote, or you can't do this, or you can't go for president because you did this, when literally every president at that time had been a slave owner, that's ridiculous.
So your point is, if you tried to secede from the United States, you should still be able to run for.
No, because they didn't try to succeed from the United States. The North succeeded from the United States because that was the law. The law was that they could have slaves. They were abiding by the law at that time.
So you see the North as the group that tried to secede from the United States.
It's not about what we see. We can look at the Articles of Confederation that
Where
were
are
there
you?
first, and then the Constitution that they came up with after.
Okay, I don't think I've seen one person in the comments that I've never heard that the North.
You can look up these facts. You can look these facts up.
So every Republican politician running speaks in the opposition of what you're saying. How do you think they're all getting it wrong?
I don't care about their opposition or what they speak on. What I'm telling you is factual information.
One of them could possibly be running the country, whether you care or not. If, according to you, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, they're going against the Constitution, they could be the next president.
But the problem is that we're not even going by the Constitution anymore. These people right now, they're doing whatever the fuck they want. When you're looking at Biden being indicted and Trump being indicted and them removing people from polls and all this shit, we're not going by the Constitution anymore. They don't give a fuck about the Constitution. They don't give a fuck about your right to vote. Obviously, they're doing whatever the hell they want.
So let me ask it to you this way then. If somebody believed, if a court of law believed that Trump
jurisdiction.
Say that again?
Court of competent jurisdiction.
Well, that's relevant. That's irrelevant. We don't. Your opinion your opinion of what a court of competent intelligence is could vary vastly from somebody else's. Who get to decide that?
So when we're talking about competent jurisdiction, that one goes by venue, and then two goes by jurisdiction and subject matter.
Yeah. When you say a court of competent jurisdiction, what does that even mean?
So in any case in the United States, you can at any time be dropped from it if the court is not of competent jurisdiction. If they don't have subject matter jurisdiction, or if you're in proper venue, those are two ways to get your shit immediately thrown out.
Okay. None of that happened in Colorado. No court was found incompetent. So what should they do if their courts determine that Trump tried to commit an act of insurrection? What should they do?
Well, first, you'd have to prove that he committed an act of insurrection.
Wait a minute. It went through, hang on a second. It climbed the ranks of the court system in Colorado. They have done that in their opinion. They've done it. It went to court. They had both sides of it.
They don't have the jurisdiction to decide anything in D.C. D.C. is not part of Colorado. It's not part of the United States. It's a District of Columbia by name. Listen to the name of it. Washington, District of Columbia.
Okay. And
If
so,
you look at the Treaty of Paris, it's not a state. They're not in a state. They exist outside of the states. Colorado does not have competent jurisdiction to say anything about D.C.
all right. I could not disagree with you more. Go ahead.
It's not something you can agree or disagree. It's not an opinion. It's a fact.
Your facts are, you have what they refer to as alternative facts. Your facts are different from everybody I've ever talked to.
Washington, D.C. is not a state in the United States of
That ain't what
America.
I'm talking about.
No. Do you understand that there's 50 states in the United States of America, and Washington, D.C. is not a part of any of them? Do you understand that?
Yeah, that I don't know what relevance that has. Yes, that is true. What relevance does that?
Colorado talk about a crime in somewhere that is not even a state, let alone in Colorado. It's called subject matter jurisdiction. They don't have it.
Okay, well, that hasn't been adjudicated by court yet. The courts haven't decided whether Colorado can or cannot do that. That's what you think. You might be right. You may be right, but that hasn't been in court yet.
To see the matter or hear it in any way, shape, or form. It's
Okay.
Title 28.
Okay, well, like I stated, until it goes to court and the Supreme Court makes the same decision that you're saying, which many expect they will, you can't say that yet. It has not been adjudicated yet.
But no, you can't say it because it hasn't been adjudicated yet.
Oh, but you can.
You cannot remove a person's life, liberty, or property without due process.
And you believe that doesn't happen in the United States without due process. That what you're saying?
It can happen, but if you understand your rights, then it won't happen.
Okay. All right, listen, we don't have to agree. You're always welcome back. I do got to move it on, Red G.
You don't agree with facts. You just understand them.
Yeah. All right, I'll take that. Appreciate you coming through. All right, looking in the box. Wow. That's all I can say. Sometimes I can't elaborate any further than that. But I will say that's the first time I've ever heard someone suggest that the North was trying to secede from the United States. I have never heard somebody say that it was the North. The Yankees were the secession group. Wow. All right, looking at the comments. Okay. Somebody said, maybe you're wrong, typical Liv. My 3 kids, maybe I am. Which is why I didn't interrupt, which is why I didn't shorten the guy's time on the program. I let him speak. I disagree with him 100%. But he held his ground. He said what he had to say. The comment section went wild. Unlike what you're saying, my 3 kids, everybody else seemed to be on the other side. But, hey, listen, the program isn't about telling you what to say. It's about hearing what you have to state. So I let the man speak. Look, and he's always welcome back, too, by the way. And he's welcome back. He's still counting jelly beans. Okay. He was right about D.C., but he wasn't saying anything useful. Yeah, he's right. D.C. is a district. I told him that. Washington, D.C. isn't one of the 50 states. I don't know where that had anything to do with the conversation, but yeah, the whole Civil War thing, I think his answer was probably more controversial than Nikki Haley's, but like the man is entitled to speak. He still admitted that slavery was the cause. Yeah, I guess he did in a roundabout way. In a roundabout way, he admitted slavery was the cause. Yes, he did, but it was definitely in a roundabout way. Bro is the only guy to guess the number of jelly beans in the jar by smell. I don't know what that means on YouTube. Going back to the box. Let's try it again. Daniel Pantoja, I think it says. My box has been acting really flaky today, so I do apologize. But we'll try to make the program move. Insurrection was in D.C. That's what he was getting at. Fair enough. Then let the Supreme Court strike down what Colorado has done. But he is ruling that Colorado is wrong before the Supreme Court does it. I made it clear he may be right. Most do expect the Supreme Court to strike down what Colorado did. But until they do, you can't definitively make a statement like he was making. I think the issue is the way he described all of the things leading up to that point is what really threw me for a loop. Certainly, suggesting that the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional, it should have never been implemented. And then when I asked him, should Confederates who tried to secede from the Union, should they be able to run for president? And he started saying, well, they weren't succeeding. It was the North that was trying to do it. I've never heard that. What am I supposed to do with that? I didn't block him, ban him, or limit his time. I just didn't understand where he was saying. I talked to a lot of folks who are far right, folks who are hesitant to even admit slavery was the cause of the Civil War. I've never heard somebody say the Yankees tried to secede from the United States. That was the first time I've ever heard that. Or suggest that the Confederates should have been able to continue running for president if they wanted to. I've never heard anybody else say that. I guess abortion is only illegal in D.C. Yeah, right. And that's the states' rights argument. You're for states' rights to ban abortion, but then when Colorado exercises states' rights, suddenly it doesn't work. I do see some legitimacy to that statement. Going back to the box, I don't think I'm going to be able to bring people up because it's really acting flaky. And there's a lot of you folks in here. I do appreciate that. I'm trying. Dog Dad, I'll give it another shot. The box is flaky as hell. Do we agree that Biden is an awful president, says James J. Gerard? Depends on what you're voting for Trump for. If you are a mom like Kate Cox in Texas, who voted for Trump, was facing a stillborn and being forced to carry a baby to term, I don't think she's going to see where Trump is a great choice. I mean, it depends on what you're voting for. Dog Dad, good afternoon.
What's up?
Hey.
What's up?
I don't even know, man. I'm in the trenches, certainly after my last conversation, but we're asking about the 14th Amendment. Can you hear me? Okay, I don't know what's going on. Hang on a second. All right, apparently I'm having some trouble with this stuff.